Welcome to a brand new episode of the Atlas Technology Solutions podcast. My name is Brian. He's Chad. We're going to go through some Apple-centric news and a product review or two. Hey, Chad, how's it going today?
Hey, Brian, it's going good. Lots of news this week with Facebook and Apple, and the whole world is upside down with technology. So we were just talking. Have you actually watched the whole speech from Tim Cook yet?
No, I've just seen sound bites at this point.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting. It's so volatile in the tech world right now, and it's interesting to see what happens. But I do want to talk about Facebook privacy. In particular, this week, I saw a little trick, I guess you could say, about how to download everything that Facebook has on you as a person. So I want to sort of demonstrate it for you. If you do this yourself, which I would highly encourage you to do, it's going to take a little bit of time, which is also, as just kind of a tech person, that should tell you something. They have lots of information on you. Now, we've talked about this before, but we know that Facebook has information. But when you see it in this format, I think it makes you say, "Oh, interesting. That's sort of funny that they have that and that much stuff."
Right.
So I want to pull it up, and then we'll kind of dig a little bit more into the news as far as Apple and maybe what it means. But let's first take a look at my information. So I'm going to switch over to my desktop here, and just going to go to Facebook. And if you're doing this yourself, you can do it on your iPhone. I did it on my iPhone, but I'm going to show you. Just go to your account settings and privacy settings. And Brian, you mentioned earlier, they actually made it pretty easy to get to your Facebook information.
Yeah, this used to be like buried 12 layers deep. Because I'm the kind of guy, I've deleted Facebook at least 3 times over the last 10 years and come back and get your stuff off, put it back on. And I'd have to go read up on a tutorial how to turn it off or delete it. Now it's on it's top 3 buttons on your settings. And then it's on that page. I can just deactivate. If I wanted to, I could deactivate right now or delete it.
Well, to walk you through it, basically you're going to go to your information and download your information. It says download a copy of your information to keep or transfer to another service. I don't know what it means to transfer to another service, but that's very interesting. But Facebook is, at the end of the day, it's a big server, and it's got data and all of our information sort of piled together. And when you're navigating, you think, okay, I've gone in, I've talked to this person, I bought this thing on Facebook Marketplace, I joined this group. But when you look at the information they give you, and I've got it here on my desktop, this is what they have. They have a list of every comment that you've made. So you can see where I commented on my neighborhood page. You can see where I gave recommendation. This is a really funny recommendation. Somebody was asking about investment apps, and I mentioned Robinhood about a week and a half ago. And that has also made news this week. So you can see that. If we dig a little bit further, you can see events, and then you can actually see like every event that I've said I was going to attend. Obviously, there's friends, groups, interactions, journalist registration, some things I don't have data on. But all said, my file was, I think, getting close to 400 megabytes. So half a gig of text on Chad Keith. So it's not a shock. Nothing was a shock to me. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they have this information on me, because I'm the one that typed it in. I'm the one that put it there. But seeing it in that format made me think, okay, that's sort of interesting. Now, to kind of switch over to talk about the Apple and Facebook deal here, just to kind of dumb everything down, there's, in the technology world, what we call the big 5. Google, or the parent company, is actually Alphabet, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. Those are the big guys. They're the ones that make all the money. Everybody uses one of those in some fashion. If you look at their revenue streams, that's really telling. I got to hand it to Microsoft. The diversity in their platform and their financials, which when you look at somebody's money, that tells you a lot about their company. Like, where's their money come from? Microsoft has Windows. They sell servers. They sell hardware. They have Xbox. They have Microsoft Office products, all of these different revenue streams, professional services, and the list goes on. So their little pie chart of diversity of income is very broad. When you look at Apple's pie chart, they have phones, they have computers, they have music subscriptions, they have TV now, they have a credit card. So they also have a diverse amount of income streams. Facebook and Google in particular, and Amazon's sort of a different monster, but Facebook and Google, most of their revenue, if I remember correctly, 97%, I believe, of Facebook's revenue comes from ads.
Yep.
So that means, you're logging into this amazing website where you can connect with your friends for free. It's totally free, right? Well, of course, nothing's free. You're giving them your data so that they can sell ads to companies that sell products. Now, in fairness, that's the way the world works in 2020, 21 here now. Thankfully, we're past 2020 and it's not getting any better. But, in this modern age, that's the way it works. You want to sell a product. You don't stand on the street corner with a sign, to sell your sneakers or your service or what have you. It might still work, but if you really want to get that message out there, especially in a pandemic, we're not on street corners much anymore. We're at home. We're trying to sell our products and services. You're on Facebook. You're on Google.
Yep.
You're pushing these platforms. So the disrupt came when Apple decided to announce sort of more transparency. When you download an app, and I'll try to show some screenshots if I can remember to put them in the show notes, but you go to the App Store and you'll have basically, the way Apple sort of explains it is it's almost like an ingredients list of privacy. What is this person looking at on my particular, I'm going to go into this app and what are they going to be asking for? And I'm just going to try to pull one up here and see.
Yeah, they use the word, I think, nutrition facts, like kind of a label you'd see on a food you're going to consume. They've created that with the App Store and third-party advertising.
Yep. So I'm looking at, I'm going to open Snapchat here. It says data used to track you, contact info and identifiers, and then data linked to you, purchases, contact info, user content, identifiers, diagnostics, location, contacts, search history, and usage data. So that's Snapchat, for instance.
That's it?
That's it. That's all they collect.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Facebook one right now, and it's probably 6 pages of iPhone screen.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's a lot. So they do there's data used to track you, contact, your identifiers. There's a whole third party advertising section which has basically everything except your social security number. There's a developer advertising, which is the same. Analytics, which is even more. Product personalization. It's all copy and pasted. They're using all your data for everything in this app functionality. They want your health and fitness information. There's all kinds of stuff, other purposes, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't want to say it's scary, but it is telling. You just say, okay, if you knew that ahead of time, would you willingly, give them that information? I'm just going to pick another one. I'm just going to pick Pinterest here, for instance. Location, contact, search history. It's a lot of the same stuff. Browsing history, user content, contact info. The other sort of confusing thing I think about this is for your common person is, we're in the tech world, but what does it mean to have diagnostics? What does identifiers mean? What are they actually collecting? So I would encourage you, and going back to the Facebook settings, go and download your stuff if you've got enough hard drive space to hold it all. And just take a look. Just take a look. Now, I don't know. Do you happen to know, Brian, if you can delete some of this stuff from Facebook once you've searched it?
You can, like individual parts of things. I know.
Yeah, I don't know that
everything.
you can.
Like after 90 days, as in my experience of deleting Facebook every couple of years, you download all your stuff, and then after 90 days, you can't get it. It completely wipes it. So they say it does from the servers. And then it's gone. But I don't think you can go, oh, I don't want them to know this, that I commented on this post or whatever. I'm not sure you have that granular control or not.
Yeah, and I think things are going to change. We'll probably see some changes coming down the pipe. I know the quote that we read earlier from Tim Cook was awesome. It said, "No one needs to trade away the rights of their users to deliver a great product." And we're walking on that line of has Facebook gone a little too far? Are they taking too much information to be able to deliver this product, to be able to give us ads?
Yeah.
It's an interesting world where some of the companies are starting to tell us what we need and why we need it.
I mean, at the end of the day, what is Facebook's product? I mean, it was built on like connections, digital connections with people. It's become a marketplace of its own. You can sell things, you can buy things, you can, read news. It's become the internet. It's on the internet, basically.
Well, and that's a good point. A lot of people don't know this either, but we're talking about privacy, and it depends on the laws and where you are. But in Africa, I don't know the name of the telecom company, but there's only so many cell phone providers in Africa. But there's one particular cell phone provider that you have a limited amount of data usage for the month. But your phone that you get from this particular company comes preloaded with Facebook on it. Mm. And if you use the Facebook app, the data's free. So essentially, if you lived in Africa and you're going to look up, a recommendation or a restaurant or a review or something, you're going to use Facebook instead of Google.com, instead of, Bing or some other search engine. You're going to use their platform. So so Facebook essentially is becoming the internet in some countries like that. And that's, that's definitely sketchy, where you say, okay, everything's free if you use us, but don't go to these other platforms. And I think that's where they're sort of poking the hornet's nest. I know we mentioned earlier some Steven Crowder is suing Facebook for saying one thing and doing another. So there's lawsuits coming left and right.
Lots of that.
It's going to be interesting to see. So please, it would help us if you comment. We want to hear back from you guys. What have you seen? We know there's sketchy stuff going on, but let us know in the comments, what you've seen, what you've experienced, how you feel about it. Is it a necessary evil? Do we need Facebook? Could we live without it? Are there other platforms that are just as good? Because alternative platforms have showed up. And to be honest, the money, the backing is just not there. The development's not as good. And, it sort of stinks to kind of go back to a platform that seems like it's still under construction.
Yeah.
You go to Twitter, you go to Facebook, and they're great. They're well designed. They're updated constantly because they have the capital, the developers to make it better. So let us know what you think. And we'll see how the world turns here in the next few months and weeks and years. Definitely. So, speaking of privacy and Apple, today on Is It Worth It, I'm going to review the Withings BPM Connect blood pressure monitor.
Okay.
So this thing, I just love, as we've already talked about, health and technology. It's just one of those things I like. I'm a statistics and data guy. I like to see the data on things. So blood pressure is one of those things. As a kid, I always remember going into the pharmacy, and I'd go stick my arm in the little thing. It was just awesome. And now you can have it at home. You can do it as many times as you want. So this device is pretty awesome. It's actually got, I think even for just your regular a healthy person. A lot of these things we kind of see and say, oh, well, you would get that if you had heart problems. Well, why not check yourself out when you feel good and see what are your normal baseline statistics?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's sort of been the debate with health and technology is, oh, well, we don't need all this information and these devices are not as accurate as a doctor. That's been the argument kind of with the iPhone and some of the EKG and some of these things is, well, it's not a doctor. It's not as accurate. But we do have now millions of data points and we can kind of see, oh, well, maybe my blood pressure is higher than the normal person, but I'm still healthy because on average it's a little higher. Or maybe my heart rate's a little lower, but that's okay because that's just who I am. So even my opinion is even if these devices are a little bit off, if they're consistently off, you'll just have a good baseline for how do I feel? When I feel great and my blood pressure's up or my heart rate's up, like what does that mean? So I think it's fantastic. So this device is $99. It integrates with all the Withings tools here. Let me see. There's watches and scales and other things that we can talk about later. But I have the Smart Scale, and I think that's the only device I have currently other than this Withings device. But yeah, it's great. You can just strap it on. You can have multiple users to be able to do your blood pressure, and your wife can do the blood pressure as well. So I would say for $99, it's worth it. Go get it. Start taking a baseline. Why not have that information and see if how you feel measures up? So check that out. There's other ones on the market. Again, leave a comment if you have one or you like it or don't like it. I think just to talk about how it feels, it's just a little, here it is. So it's just sort of a strap here, and it's got this little white device, and you just strap it around your arm, and it's got one button, and it's got a little LED display here that kind of lights up. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but it shows, okay, we're going to measure blood pressure. It also can do multiple measurements, so you can set it to do like 3. So you just kind of get in your zone, lay down or whatever you're going to do, sit still, and you can have it just do 1 measurement, or you can do 3. And I notice like when I do the 3, my blood pressure goes down as I'm able to relax, or if the kids come in and start screaming, it just spikes on one of them.
So how often, like once a day, are you just checking your blood pressure kind of thing?
So I've been checking it, like after I get done with a run or get done with exercise, I'll take a shower, and then I just kind of, okay, I'm going to calm down and just take my blood pressure. And for me, it's been interesting to see like when it's higher and when it's not. It's definitely lower, like in the morning. If I get up and I just immediately take my blood pressure, it's a lot lower. Mm-hmm. I've noticed like what I eat, my workouts. If I do a good workout, it's a little bit elevated. If I eat healthy, it's lower, different things like that. So definitely cool. It's definitely for $100 to be able to check that information regularly. I think it's a deal. It's a worth it, I think.
Yeah, that sounds like that's an interesting thing, especially as you get older.
Yeah,
keep an eye on that, because blood pressure. Like I've been to the same doctor twice in the same day and gotten 2 different, very different. And the first doctor goes, "Oh, you need to watch this," and the second it's like, "Well, you're fine now." But I can see in the records that it was high earlier, and that's either the equipment's different or someone's doing it by hand. It's so inconsistent even across the medical field.
And I think that's also something to note is, nothing against doctors and stuff, but maybe somebody's having a bad day, the nurse is off or they're rushing. You're going to have some inconsistencies, like you said, even from day to day. But with this, even if it's off, you'll have the consistency of the device, because more than likely that little device is going to be pretty consistent with itself.
Yeah. It's just like a scale. Time. Your scale may be different than the doctor's scale, but it's the same. It's still a curve. There's still a linear, right. You can see the changes, whether it's a perfect representation or not.
Exactly. I mean, with the pandemic, when we talk about temperature and things like that, I was always raised 98.6. And now it's like, well, that's not exactly right. Maybe it's 97.9 or it's 98 point, normal is sort of different for people. I know when we're talking about heart conditions, I have a neighbor who totally went vegan. He had some issues with his heart, and it was great. So he watches his blood pressure regularly. So to have something like this all the time, where you can just kind of look at your baseline, I think it's totally worth it. So go out, check it out, withings.com. Again, there's other brands. This is the one I chose. It had some great reviews, so I wanted to throw my hat in the ring as well. So. Awesome. Leave a comment and subscribe. We thank you so much for listening to us, and we'd love to hear your feedback. And yeah, we will see you next time.